We'll probably start with you, Josh, since you're the mastermind behind Epic Home Haunts and how your idea blossomed and bloomed and became a documentary about home haunters. And do we have all the home haunters here, or are there a couple home haunters that aren't here with us tonight? Greg's in the background.
Yes, Greg's here. So we're just missing Boot Hill.
Okay.
Missing somebody from Boot Hill. I don't know.
All right. Well,
they're not here tonight.
Josh, why don't you take us back about just a little bit about your history in the haunted attraction industry, or any kind of experience that you have, or
and why you decided to
what
make
you
this
learned,
film.
and tell us how this all became a thing.
About 5 or 6 years ago, I had a bout of insanity. I went crazy and decided to start a project that encompassed my life for half of like the 5 years, 5, 6 years. It kind of all started actually, Chris and Gina, we were just fans of theirs, my wife and I, on YouTube, and noticed that their low light video was okay, but not great. And we just messaged them and said, hey, we'd love to help you guys out. What you're doing is amazing, and get better video so that they can then go get more work, because that's what they do for a living. And they were like, sure, come on down and film. We were like, sick, we could go see this thing in person, like in super detail, because it was when they had built Grave Rock Gulch. Is that what it was called? The big western town in front of their house. It was amazing. And so we drove down, I think it was like a day or two after Halloween, and set up bunch of studio lights and brought camera cranes and all kinds of stuff, and filmed for a night. And after we got done filming, my wife and I were like, wow, this is amazing. This could totally be a TV series. And why isn't it? And so we started asking around, started basically asking Rick West everything we could. We'd been friends with Rick for a number of years because we used to run a podcast about theme parks called Theme Park Talk that became a YouTube show that then died the death of most YouTube shows when you don't make any money and it sucks up all your life. But we had met Rick West through that. So we started just kind of, nudging Rick West into like, hey, can you tell us more about this? Like, who are these people? Like, are there more? And it sort of just blossomed into this like, oh my God, there's this whole world of home haunters that like, across the country, they're doing these amazing things. And so we started getting connected up with everybody. Chris and Gina actually were the ones who started really introducing us to everybody. And I think they introduced us to Diane and Preston first. Yeah. I think like Scare LA, like year 2 or something, and or year 3. And we had talked to you guys. And I don't remember exactly how the conversation went. I just remember walking up to Preston and going, hey, we've got this idea. And him going, okay. Who's this weirdo who's approaching me and about this idea? And at the time, it was a TV series. We had actually gotten funding from a producer to shoot it as a 9-episode TV series. And that's what we were making. And so that's when we talked to everybody. And that actually is how that same day, I think, is when we talked to Greg and Pam for the first time. I think Pam was at the Cal Hunts booth, I think. Yeah. And I actually think I interviewed Pam for the YouTube channel about Cal Hunts to put a video up that I never made. So I have an interview with Pam somewhere on a hard drive. And I think that's how we kind of got connected with them. But then from there, we started working. And in between Scare LA year 3 and Midsummer Scream year 1, because there's a lot of stuff that happened in between those 2 times. But also what happened in between that time is that all of our funding fell out. So all of a sudden we had all these plans and things we've been working on for 2 or 3 years. And now all of a sudden there was no more funding. And my wife and I were like, okay, well, so we were kind of depressed, went to Midsummer Scream, and on the way out of the Long Beach Convention Center, walking across the bridge down to go have dinner at Outback or something, both my wife and I were like, screw it, we're doing it. We'll self-fund it. We'll do it as a feature film. We'll do 3 or 4 haunts and we'll make this work. And so we started replanning the entire project. I think we started filming the next, like 8 months later, I think so. Something like that. And then it was that 2.5 years of filming or so, and then about a year of post. And Then it went out on Amazon, and I'm still exporting files, trying to get it into iTunes and Netflix. So it hasn't stopped. I'm actually still working on this thing almost every day, trying to get it all everywhere it needs to be. Yeah, that's the basic genesis of the project.
So have you had any kind of experience acting in a haunt, or this was just like something that was just like a spark and you're like, we got to do this?
No, I mean, I ran a home haunt, like a really small one when I was a kid, like in my teens. My stepdad and I would do it at the house, and we'd, not anywhere near the level of anybody else, of anybody here, but, black plastic and, cover the whole porch in black lights and do it, makeup, get 4 or 5 actors, that kind of thing. And so it's always been a thing in my life. I used to spend my free time on lunch when I used to work in a marketing department for an auto parts company way back in the day. I used to spend my lunches on Fright Props, website, looking at all the things like, oh, okay, how much is that? Oh, okay, could I rebuild that? Trying to convince my wife to let me buy, the pneumatic kits and stuff when, we were making no money. Yeah, so I mean, it's always been a thing for me. I've never had the opportunity to actually do it in any form of like large scale scenario, because I've always lived in an apartment or a small cottage or rented a room in a house somewhere where it would not be okay if I just took over the house for 6 weeks. I'd love to, but yeah, no, I just I haven't had the opportunity to do it yet. I say yet because it will happen.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Do you have any plans expanding to a second episode of this, or continuing on with the series of home haunting?
What can I say? The short answer is I'd love to. The long answer is that it depends on how much we make financially with this first film. My wife and I self-funded everything, so we're the public budget was about $40,000. I can tell you it was probably more than that, but that's what it says publicly, is about $40,000. And it's not like we had the money, you know what I mean? It's like we took every dime that would have gone into savings. We canceled our 401ks. I actually took a loan out of my 401k to help build the editing machine that we use. Our credit cards are maxed out. So it's kind of if I can pay all that off, I'll think about doing it again. I'd love to. I've actually started talking to certain people about what we would do for a sequel and what it would be, what it should look like, things like that. So yeah, it's just kind of making sure I don't, not on the street with an editing machine and a camera and my wife and a new baby just because I want to do a second one.
Where can people find this at right now and buy it?
On Amazon Prime Video. So it's not Amazon streaming, so you don't have to have an Amazon Prime account to watch it, as long as you just have an Amazon account, which I think most people on the planet have an Amazon account, because everyone has bought something from Amazon at some point. So as long as you have an Amazon account, you can rent it or you can buy it. We're in works with the distributor. We're already working with them, getting things ready to have it available on iTunes, and then Netflix and Hulu later on this year and into 2020. But we looked into Google Play for a while. As of like 3 weeks ago, the plan was to actually get it into Google Play. We started walking down that path and very quickly stopped and just focused on iTunes as opposed to Google Play. So it's coming there. You'll be able to rent it and watch it there, which will then allow it to be viewable worldwide. Because right now it's only available in the US and the UK, because that's what Amazon allows us to do. They limit us there.
How come they can't let you put it in Canada? Because I can't find it on my Amazon Prime Video account.
Because it's not available in Canada. I don't know. There's only 4 countries they allow us to be in, which is the US, the UK, Japan, and Germany. We can't actually have it released in Japan and Germany unless we have subtitles for the film. I just don't have the money to pay a company to translate it into Japanese and German at the moment.
Well, you don't need subtitles for Canada, so tell Amazon to get their butt in here and let you release it here.
I know, and we don't need subtitles for Australia either. And I've had people ask about Australia. Well, they it's just because they shorten everything. They abbreviate every word in Australia.
And if you can also watch some samples on your YouTube channel. You guys have a YouTube channel with some trailers on there as well.
Yeah, we got trailers and some clips and things. We have Rotten Apple's Haunt from last year up there, which one person disliked. The jerk.
Oh.
Who's the one person who dislikes this video? Yeah, I mean, I wasn't able to go down and film this year because my wife and I had our first baby 2 weeks after Halloween, so I wasn't about to be like, bye, 8.5 months pregnant lady, I'm going to LA for a weekend to go film. Wasn't going to happen. So I just called everybody I could and be like, hey, can you show up at this haunt and go film? So we got a couple. We got Boot Hill and Rotten Apple, and I actually have video of a Peachy from this year. I just haven't had time to put it together because there's a 6-week-old in the other room right there.
Well, yeah. Congrats on the baby.
Yeah.
And keeping up the dedication and the hard work of trying to get this out so people in Canada can see it.
All for Canada. The entire thing. That was the whole goal, just to get Canada to see it.
Hey, I'm willing to pay for it to watch it. Maybe I can watch it when I'm down at HauntCon. We'll get Brian to set his iPad up and we can watch it on that.
There you go. Well, I know if you come to Midsummer Scream, we're talking about doing some cool stuff there. So that's all I can say about that.
So stay tuned. Go to Midsummer Night's Scream and you'll see something special for Epic Home Haunts?
Yeah, Midsummer Scream, not Midsummer Night's Scream. That's the Shakespeare convention.
That's right.
Well, Diane, we'll go to you first, and we'll talk about, just tell us a little bit about your home haunt, and how you got started, how long you've been doing it.
So we have Rotten Apple 907. We started it 28 years ago. Yeah, 28 years ago. And we started it because we started having birthday parties for my daughter. And it ended up expanding and growing and growing and growing to what it is now. Somebody else want to say something?
Yeah, we started having Halloween-flavored birthday parties, and the kids that would come to trick-or-treat were more interested in coming into the house to see what was going on inside than trick-or-treating. And so for a long time, we actually had the haunt was inside the house. We went through like the living room and the dining room and the kitchen, and then back out through the living room, and then so it was in and out the front door. And we did that for, I don't know, a long time, 5-6 years. Mm-hmm. And then we gradually migrated out. And then finally we decided no more inside. Everything is outside.
Once we made a graveyard, a full dirt graveyard within the front room of our house, flipped our couch upside down, covered everything with dirt. My mom was like, nope, outside.
It's amazing how 50 pounds of dirt makes that,
That and then the contact cement webs that are still there to this day.
Yeah. Thank goodness the earthquake happened and all the contact cement or the rubber cement that was on the wall from the webs, the earthquake took out, so we had to replace that wall anyway.
Well, I thought you were going to say held everything together.
Well, kind of did that too.
Oh, but it worked out great because the year of the earthquake in the front room, one of the walls, it was lath and plaster, so the plaster just fell off the wall and the lath was still there. And so he was busy because he's a building inspector. He was busy working all the time and didn't have time to fix it. So I told him, don't worry about it. So Halloween, we stuck body parts hanging out of the lath on the wall.
Use what you got, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So how was your experience doing the Epic Home Haunt movie?
Terrible, awful, worst thing ever.
It looks like a nice guy on film, like on film.
I'm actually really
we had fun doing it. There's always some stuff that goes on, and I should have filmed that, or I wish I filmed that. And then they are filming, and there's nothing going on.
Or they're filming right when you're saying, "Oh, fuck." It's a hot glue or something hits your hand, and you're saying all these cuss words and having a fight with your husband, and all of a sudden you look up and there's a camera there.
I think a couple of those actually got in the movie.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So other than that, I mean, it's hard because I don't like to be on camera, as Josh knows, and stuff, and so it's a little bit hard that way. But other than that, it was fun. We enjoyed Josh and Katie around.
Oh, thanks.
It was fun when they were out filming the flood, and Josh ran his helicopter into his drone into the tree and got stuck in the tree.
Yeah, that was my bad. I was too busy like, oh, this shot's really good. And I was like, oh, geez. And I looked up and there's a tree. And
the stuff he did for the shots, he's out in 103-degree weather trying to film the flood mess.
Yeah, well, I had the easy job. I was filming. You guys were in it and trying to get all the stuff out of the mud and sweat and water. I'm sitting back with a drone just filming.
Did the flood damage anything?
Yeah, quite a bit. We lost a whole bunch, and we're still losing stuff. Every time we go out there, some of the stuff we thought we had salvaged, we go to move it and it just falls apart. And so most of the furniture was lost, and a lot of the walls now, what is it, 2 years?
A year
later, are coming apart. Yeah. The frames are warped, and the Luan is warped, and it's come loose from the framing. So we're still in the process of getting over it.
We lost probably half our walls, and we lost the horse-drawn hearse that we had, and a few important things like that. And like I said, there's a whole bunch more walls that are ready to be thrown away after this year. When we notice we put them in and all the walls are kind of going all weed and they don't butt up anymore and all that. So there's a bunch more, but
a bunch of motors and stuff that got just inundated with mud and junk that just will not come off because it's like cement now.
Yeah.
And of course, on the horse-drawn hearse, we got it from another Cowhunts member, and we had it for a couple of 3 years. And every year, we're going to get a horse for it. We're going to make an invisible horse, or we're going to make a real horse. So finally, we bought one of the Cowhunts horses. And
Home Depot horse.
Home Depot, sorry. And then we had used it in Midsummer Scream. So we got Cowhunts people to corpse it. So it was looking really cool now. And we had it here at the house when the flood hit. So now we have a horse and no hearse.
Oh, that's so sad. Not to give light or make light of all of the other people that have been affected by the flood and stuff, but how is the flood and all of the damage? How are you going to be able to rebuild? Like, do you build everything yourself? Are you have other people that are helping you? How do you recover from that? And can we get it on film?
Basically we're rebuilding walls or building walls and like I said, still cleaning and salvaging stuff. But a lot of the stuff that we found by the side of the road. You know how haunters are, they'll come to a screeching halt with everything. And, oh, that's cool. I can use that eventually. And, 4 or 5 years later, maybe use it. So we're back in that mode. So, we had a whole dining room table, a really nice antique dining room table that we found and a really cool couch and some other stuff. And so that's all gone. So we're back in salvage and dumpster diving mode.
And we had the motor and stuff with the spinning tunnel and all that. And some of the metal for the spinning tunnel is kind of warped that we're having to put it all back together again. But it's happening slowly but surely. And it's it is what it is. A lot of the walls, we're lucky enough that some of the walls we get from the studios. And so when they're trashing them, and so we get their leftovers. And so the damage on the walls hasn't been too horrible because we've managed to get enough replacements to come in. But some of the really cool stuff, like we had the front of the Jimmy Kimmel set that they did when they did, what was it? That movie, Twilight. And so we had the door and the front part. We had all that, and that got pretty well wiped out in the flood. And so some really cool stuff got wiped out in the flood. But
well, the thing is with ours too is we do a new theme every year.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we're not always using the same things over and over. So we can kind of make do with what we have and make what we have work for whatever we're doing that year, and then rebuild as necessary.
Yeah, in 2017, the year of the flood, we decided we weren't going to do the haunt because it was quite a daunting task digging it all out. And then we decided, and then we had to move everything so they could come in and regrate the area so we could put it all back. And so we decided, we could do the responsible thing and not do the haunt and deal with stuff, or do the irresponsible thing and have a haunt. So we chose the haunt. And so we went ahead and did the haunt. But the haunt was one of those that we just, part of it was Black Maze, part of it was somebody had given us some foam rocks that we put up and we made it do. We changed the theme because we had an altogether different theme that was planned, and okay, we'll just do what we can, and and we did.
So the theme that year we decided was everybody's going to hell.
Portal to hell.
Portal to hell.
Hell, so might as well theme it around that.
Well, you got to work with what you got, right?
Yeah. Yep.
All the mud came in real handy.
Yes, it does. And everybody talks, even this year, the fencing or all the wood on the front of the haunt and everything, everybody's going, that wood looks so good. How did you make it? Well, it's all the mud from Acton that's still all over the wood, but it makes it look really good.
The older the better.
Yes.
So how many trick-or-treaters do you guys usually get? You said you've been going on for several years now. Is it apparently by this time it's probably a really big thing in your neighborhood, isn't it?
Well, we don't get very many trick-or-treaters. We get a lot of people for the haunt because it's a complete walkthrough. And we're open usually 5 days, and we get about 5,000 people through in those 5 days.
You guys do like a charity thing for anybody, or?
Yes, the last few years it's been volunteers of the animal shelter, and so we put down donations. We never used to do it when we first started. We didn't want to take money because we felt uncomfortable with it, and so then the year of Hurricane Katrina, we felt bad for the people, so we put out a bucket and stuff. And then every year since then, we pick a charity, and all the money goes directly to the charity. We don't keep any of it, and so the last few years, we've picked the Volunteers of the Animal Shelter mainly because they're a lot of help, and they've been out there working the lines with us, keeping everybody in line and all that. So we've kind of stuck with them the last couple of years. They've gotten through where they're running the front door and all that. They kicked me out of my job.
Kicked her out. She's like, go. You can go talk.
Because I'm always I'm always running the door, and they're always going, Diane, you're busy talking. You're not doing your job, and so I got kicked out.
It helps too that they're a charity that couldn't really use the money. We've done some of the bigger charities in the past that it's, our amount of money, the $5,000 or whatever we get is like a dime in the, a drop in the bucket for them. But a smaller charity, this one particularly, like the money really does go for really good use.
How big is your all's staff of people, scare actors?
It varies depending on the year, but I think this year we had about 10 people, which is actually high for us. Usually we're running 4, 5, 6 people.
6 core members.
Yeah.
What's a typical time to go through your haunt?
Probably 5 minutes. After waiting in line for an hour and a half.
Depends on if you're Haunter or Scaredy Cat. Scaredy Cat's 2 minutes flat. Haunters, it's okay. Are they ever coming out?
So they're looking at all the details, aren't they?
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons that we're appreciated is that we do try to make it detailed. So for people, even if you don't get scared, there's stuff to look at and stuff to appreciate and things going on that a lot of the people that run through screaming don't ever see. But if you take your time and go a little slower, there's a lot of things and some Easter eggs around for different people. Like we've had a troll in the haunt for 14, 15 years now. And some of the people coming through know that it's there and search it out.
He has his own website or his own Facebook page.
The troll, yeah.
The troll has its own Facebook page.
Christian, do you have any Easter eggs or anything in your haunt that something that keeps showing up every year?
Excuse me. There are some things, not necessarily like one thing we've had throughout all the years, but one of the things we'll do with some of our, whether it's a prop or something, is we'll have it placed a certain way for 1 year, and then it'll be just like a static prop or whatever it is, and then the following year after it, we'll make it so that that prop is going to be moved by an actor or it's placed a little differently, so it affects whatever scare or way you're going through the maze is going to be, just to kind of change it up and think, oh, saw that thing there last year, it's not going to do anything, and then this year the guillotine's going to fall down and make a loud noise when the people walk by or whatever it is.
So just so our listeners know, what is your haunt, the name of it, where are you located, and how long have you been running it?
Cool. So I'm from Beware the Dark Realm. We are out in Santa Clarita, California, about, depending on traffic, a half hour to plus hours from LA.
A half hour to LA. Huh.
Yeah. 4 a.m. we'll get there at 10 for 2. But time-wise, we've been doing it at our house that I live at for honestly about 25 years at our house, ever since I was born, basically. My dad used to do haunts when he was a teenager. He did a haunt at his house. Nothing, obviously, that any of us are at now, of course. It just continued to grow throughout the years, and so he's always loved Halloween. And then myself and my brother growing up, we always used to have a big Halloween party during Halloween time, just because family loves Halloween. We loved it. We always had cool decorations and everything, and we also always had the party. And then so as we got older each year, and then we would just kind of scare just in a little costume up by the front door on Halloween night. And then one year when we kind of got to about the age where my brother and I were like, all right, we really want to start scaring people, we set up our garage for a party where we were going to watch, we actually watched a movie, Abbott and Costello Meets Frankenstein, one of the best. And we kind of looked at it. We kind of looked at it after and we're like, hey, everything's set up kind of as like a castle type thing. Let's keep it up, because I think we had the party like a day or two before Halloween. And so we're like, let's keep it up. And instead of just having people walk up to the front door, kind of put another kind of wall in between to make them do a quick U. And that was kind of the first maze, if you will, that we started. And it's just grown and grown to where it is today every year. We've done different themes. We stuck with clowns for a long time. Clowns are always a lot of fun. We've done aliens, Western, various things. And then actually probably 10 years ago or so, there was a couple other home haunts out in our valley, and we all kind of got together and decided to do a, I guess, somewhat professional haunt. It was still a nonprofit haunt called Heritage Haunt that we did out here at the Santa Clarita Valley Historical Society for about 8 years or so there, where we put on four mazes. A couple years we did a pretty big hayride as well. Couple hundred people staff-wise each night, multiple nights for that. So we learned, I especially learned a lot from doing that. I was still young, of growing up and getting into high school and everything. So having the opportunity to see some other things that other people had done and do it on kind of a professional level was really cool. And it's kind of helped get us to where we are today on whether it's building stuff to props to costume making, whatever it is. It was a cool thing to be able to do that for so many years. And then when we finished that, we brought it back to the house. And we've been doing it here at the house for about six or so years now, I'd say 7 years maybe. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger every year.
So how did you get involved with the whole Epic Home Haunts project?
So Epic Home Haunts, I think Josh somehow got a hold of my dad. Whether it was
that was not easy to get a hold of your dad, by the way. That was weeks and weeks of calling him and not getting any responses.
Yeah, because I think too, like the first time or he sent us an email or something too, and it was like, oh, this guy wants to come film at our haunt, and all right, it's just another guy that we thought at first maybe it was something like, oh, he wants to come film like during the haunt and do like a YouTube walkthrough and everything, but then of just emailing back and talking to him of, hey, I'm actually doing this pretty cool documentary thing and everything, and would you guys like to be a part of it? And it was an awesome, very cool, and like Dan and Preston were saying too, a cool different experience of you think something's going to go some way, and of course right when they're filming there's the prop you were expecting to go off at that time is going to completely not work, and you'll get myself up on a ladder and the other person down helping out, start arguing with one another over which way is going to be the best way to put this thing up, and turns into sure there's some good stuff not in the film that would have made a good
you mean all that stuff's not scripted? You didn't script this, Josh?
No. No, we didn't. I mean, we always knew we were going to film. We always knew we were going to film 1 year and then show like what they built, and then do another year with, you know, and show how the haunts progressed and do interviews in between. That was always the plan. I mean, things like the flood and you know, that kind of stuff. We're just like, oh, that really sucks that happened. It's fortuitous for the film, but it's really sucks that it happened for them.
I'm glad we could help you, Josh.
You didn't hire somebody to do a rain dance just so you could get good footage?
I just stood out there with a hose for about a week, and then no, actually, well, it's funny. Beware the Dark Realm was actually that was day one on Epic Home Haunts. The first day we started filming there, that was the first day we started filming the documentary. And it's funny, if you look at, there's a couple of pictures like on our Facebook or Instagram. If you look at the camera we're using, the same camera we were using the whole time, but there's no camera cage. It's a lens that we weren't using before. It was a really kind of lame microphone, a really basic tripod. And then you look at the end of the film and we're running like cameras with external monitors and cinema lenses and follow focuses and all this other stuff. Because I just kept going, oh, okay, well, the low light doesn't work as well as I thought. I guess I need to buy this. And oh, now I need to buy this. And oh, I need to buy this. And
that was something I was kind of say too with it is, and I'm sure like Josh experienced from day one to the end of where equipment wise, film wise, how he was doing everything, of we kind of changed our haunt as well from the very first year of as far as like the maze itself. Just because like the very first night Josh came out to come film, is we're all excited about it, and I remember we're going through and we're like, we can't see anything on the camera right now. It's so dark. Our maze is like a medieval theme, so it's inside a castle, and we like to keep it like as normal. Like if you walked into an old medieval castle back when that was going on, that you're just gonna have like little lights going on and everything. So it's a dark and realistic thing, but that's not necessarily great for filming. So even this last year, we added a ton more lighting to the event. And it helped, in my opinion, too, I think, our overall vision and how the maze looked as well. Because it just added an extra element that we didn't really have at the start.
Great. Did you have a lot of lighting challenges and stuff when Josh came by to film you?
Greg?
Very cool. Great.
Oh, I'm here. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Right.
That silly mute button. You know how it goes.
So, did you have a lot of lighting challenges and stuff when Josh came by to film you?
Well, I didn't have any lighting challenges. Now, Josh did.
Actually,
See, I'm like,
Greg sounds really well lit. Actually, it's funny. You know, somebody asked me recently. They were like, "So why did you pick these? You know, these 4 hunts? How did you settle on these guys?" And I did my explanations for everybody. You know, we've got Door the Dark Realm, which is this insane castle that's been around forever, and it's this really tight knit family, and they're awesome people. You've got Boot Hill, it's like this overexpanded yard hunt. Then you've got Rotten Apple, they're insane and amazing, and they do a new theme every year, and it's giant, and they have to be in it. And then you get Greg and Pam, and it's just like there are newcomers, right? Like I think Greg, when we were filming with you, that was your 3rd year with the walkthrough.
Yeah, the first year you filmed was our 3rd year of walkthrough.
And your detail and stuff is insane. Like I would venture to say you guys are probably actually the most detailed in this group. Like there's stuff where I was taking my camera an inch away from stuff and it looked amazing everywhere. I could film anything in any direction.
I don't know about that because you know I think Rotten Apple probably. Rotten Apple does a pretty good job. We tried. We want to do Rotten Apple. Amazing job.
Yeah, everyone does an amazing job, but you guys, your lighting and your detail it's insane. It's really good, particularly for only being around for like 2 or 4 years. It's obnoxious.
Well, thank you. We do try. You know, we try really hard. We look at a lot of what other people have done and you know, just try to learn as rapidly as possible to incorporate those things into the haunt. You know, and I do have the luxury of lighting for the human eye, not the camera. So the human eye is far, far more, you know, sensitive. So we get away with a lot less light. It's interesting, Josh, that you say that we're really well lit because I would feel that we're dark, but I always make sure there is enough light to see as much of the detail as you want to see.
Sure. Well, you got to think too, you know, you're talking about the human eye and low light and stuff. We were filming with a Sony A7S II, which at the main camera we use, which is a bit of trivia for any film geeks out there. That's a consumer camera. It's like a $3,000 camera, and we made a full movie in 4K with it. That camera goes to like 400,000 ISO. It literally will see in the dark. It will be super grainy and super terrible looking. But it can. So we kind of chose this in between of like pushing it as far as we could until it got almost too grainy and then adding a little bit of light. It's actually interesting. If you watch the first trailer we cut, the shot of Preston as the princess with the dragon, if you watch, there's a clip of it in the trailer, like a real quick little snippet of it. And then if you look at the film, you can compare the camera noise between the two shots. And because it's pre all of our post-production processing, and then once the film came out, it's obviously after we did all our post-production processing, and we were almost able to get that noise down to 0 because we spent so much time in it in post. But yeah, you know, I'm just shut up about being film techie now.
How many hours did you record, and how many hours did you have to cut?
I have no idea. I don't think of it in terms of hours because we had. Let's see, on any given shoot, we had 5 cameras running for like 6 hours straight just on the nights that everyone was filming, or on the nights everyone was open. But I mean, we filmed probably 5 days each with everybody throughout each season, 5 to 7 days, something like that. I've got everything is stored on my desk currently on hard drives, and I've got. Oh God, I don't know. 80 terabytes worth of storage currently sitting on my desk. Wow. Most of it is just this project. It's pretty nuts, and it's funny because the whole thing was shot in 4K, it was edited in 4K. but it's not available in 4K. It's only available in HD because Amazon wouldn't let us post it in 4K. I don't know why. So hopefully when it comes out on iTunes, everyone will actually be able to see it in 4K because the detail is pretty amazing. You can really see the detail in what everyone does.
Yeah, I find that's the hardest part about making anything is editing it down and getting rid of stuff that may not be the best. But
it is. I mean, we kind of knew what we were going to do. You know, we did a pretty generic film shoot the first season, so the 2016 season. It was just kind of the way you would film a TV show, just like, you know, shotgun spray and film everything, get every angle, get your basics of guy screwing thing into wood and guy painting thing and putting on a wall, you know, as much of that as we could. And then, you know, as much opening night stuff as we could. And then when we did our interviews, was what, like April-ish time, 2017, something like that. That gave us the direction of, okay, now I know what we need to additionally film in 2017. Because I didn't want to show the same thing twice. Like, I mean, haunt geeks are going to go, oh, cool, yeah, I just want to see them open. I just want an hour of people being scared and the detail. But, you know, I can't just show that. So I didn't want to show the same things in 2016 as we showed in 2017. So it was kind of like, okay, I'll let them tell me what we need to film. And then I bugged everybody for about a year straight to get every photo they have in existence of everything they've ever done. Yeah. Those are some daily text messages right at the end of the edit process of like, I need your archive stuff. So there's a lot of interesting photos. Oh yeah, Diane and I, for some reason, Facebook message at like 1 a.m. I'll just be like, I'll see that she's available. I'm like, hey, what's up? Do you have those photos? But actually, speaking of like when Melissa was saying that they had a bunch of dirt and stuff in the house, that's in the doc. I'm correct, right? There's like 3 photos. I believe that's the dirt. It's kind of, you wouldn't know that that's what it is, but it's a bunch of dirt in the living room. It's crazy.
Yeah,
and like it's all in there. It's all in the doc. It's crazy.
do you guys use tarps for that?
Yeah, we put down plastic all over everything and then brought in bark and dirt and filled it in. The cat loved it.
Too much.
Look, a new litter box just for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Well, I don't want to forget about Greg back there in the background. Greg, why don't you tell us a little bit about your haunt, the name of it, how you got started?
So I'm at Restless Manor. That's a haunt that I run with my wife and my brother and his kids and my kids and some of my friends. And we've been doing the walkthrough. This was our 5th year with the walkthrough. Prior to that, we did a yard display, that was kind of evolutionary, right? It started with, a onesie twosie thing, and then over the years kind of grew and grew and grew. And then 5 years ago, I decided I had lost my sanity and was going to try to do a walkthrough. And we did it and learned a whole lot of things about doing a walkthrough, including the amount of work. The perceived amount of work is one thing. The actual amount of work is something completely different. Especially if you want to grow up and be rotten apple someday. You got some effort you got to throw into it. So we decided we were going to do it as try to create as amazing as we could. I've always had an interest in it. I've always liked to quote unquote decorate for Halloween for many, many years. But when you just get in a place where sometimes you don't have the space or the know-how or the money or any of those things that Josh was mentioning earlier.
That's my fault.
So we just, yeah, I know, right? We got to a place and we said, hey, we're gonna try this, and And we did it. And year one was, I had this vision, and it was nowhere near what I thought we were going to, we could pull off. And then year two swung around, and we said, okay, well, we're going to make a major improvement, and we did. And it was a much better show. And then year three, that between year 2 and 3, Josh and Katie we'd run into them. I want to say it was Scare LA.
It was.
We were there and talked about it and kind of had a handshake and said, okay, let's try it. And so we knew that we were going to have cameras in year 3, and we're thinking, oh my gosh, what have we gotten ourselves into? And so we just kind of put the shoulder to the grindstone and pulled off a really fantastic show in year 3, and again in year 4. This year's show again I thought was pretty good. So I think we've hit a groove now. We've kind of gotten into it. So. But our haunt is located in Palmdale, California, which is about 70 miles northeast of LA proper, in the high desert. So we're a little bit off the beaten path.
How many visitors do you get to your haunt every year, Craig?
Well, I'd like to quote numbers like Rotten Apple has, but we're not quite that big. This year in year 5, we had about 700 people on Halloween. We were only open for 2 nights. We were open the Saturday before and then on Halloween. And we had probably about 150 people on the Saturday before. And those are the fans, you know what I mean? Those are the haunt fans, because they're out looking for haunts, and it's not even Halloween, right? The 700 on Halloween, that's just the byproduct of trick-or-treaters and people that know that you're there, but we've been doing something here for, 16 years, whether it was just, something in the front yard or the last 5 as the walkthrough.
But still, it's respectable, right? You're open for a couple of nights and you're pushing 1,000 people. Okay, well, 900, 800 and some people, right? You're still doing pretty good. Some areas of town don't get any people and others get thousands and thousands. So I don't know. It's really all over the place when it comes to having a haunt. But being in a same location year after year, do you think that really helps?
Oh, definitely. I mean, we've done very, very little attempt at getting the word out, so to speak. So pretty much everybody that comes here, it's word of mouth, or just they know we're here. We hang a poster in the front yard usually, for a couple of weeks, right about the time we start putting up facades and things, so that people know what's happening, not thinking that we're rebuilding the house or something. Yeah. And actually, my wife has a sign she puts out front whenever we do any kind of build activity out front, says "Not a garage sale, haunted house." So because invariably we start bringing tools out front and sitting them in the driveway and materials and things, and people stop and they want to shop through our workspace. So. But yeah, the numbers,
Dan, Preston, do you have similar problems to that, where as you're doing construction, people want to know, A, either buy your stuff, or B, what's going on, and get sneak peeks?
Yeah, definitely.
All the time.
Yeah.
We have cow haunts meetings in our front yard because we don't have any place in the house to have 30, 40 people. And we have people come into the meeting and start looking around and wanting to know what's for sale. Why are all these people here? What are you selling? And
these are like under tents that have like the walls up, and they still just come waltzing in. Oh, what can I sell? What's for sale? No.
Christian, do you kind of have those problems as well?
Yeah, I mean, somewhat the same thing too. It's been funny. We've had a lot of people that'll like drive by, especially once we have a big castle facade that we put up. And it'll always be funny to see a car drive by, going the normal speed they're going, and then kind of stop all of a sudden, put it in reverse a little bit. Don't know what in the world is going on at that house. But we've had a few people that live around in the neighborhood or whatever, and they're driving by or walking their dog or whatnot, and they'll come up and, if it was their first time like seeing what's going on, ask some stuff about it. And we've actually had a couple people who have just kind of found it and ended up working with us the past couple of years, scaring and everything. So we've actually got some people to help out through it too.
Well, I've got a question for all three of you, and I'll give it one at a time. We'll go for Christian first. Where do you find the inspiration for your haunt and some of the theme rooms that you have?
So for me personally, so on our like build design team, if you will, it's mainly myself, my dad, and my brother. My mom helps us out a lot as well. And all three of us, we grew up going to Not Scary Farm. So Not Scary Farm is my absolute favorite haunt in the world. So a lot of like what we've done throughout the years, I think has kind of, in a way, stayed like, I'm trying to think of a way, if I was building a maze at Knott's, these would be kind of some of the elements they would have going on. Just outside of that, I mean, we have a medieval theme, so there's not like too many places nearby where I can go and be like, oh, I'm going to get some inspiration for this dark old castle today. But a lot of movies and just a lot of pictures, really whatever we can think of. And like Diane and Preston were saying too, of you kind of have to work with what you have, and then make something work that you wouldn't necessarily was going to end up being that thing. So whether it was finding something that someone was giving away or just something that we had that we thought about, oh, we can throw it away. And then all of a sudden you'll have that one idea and it gets put into the haunt and it ends up working out pretty well.
Greg, same question for you. Where do you get the inspiration for your haunt and some of your rooms that you like?
Well, I think we have a backstory for the haunt. So it's Restless Souls Manor, and the backstory for the haunt basically revolves around the original settlers that came to Palmdale from the Midwest. And so we kind of have about a 2-page story that has a lot of hooks in the story. So the original settlers came here, but they were followed by a coven of witches that used magic to stay hidden. And, there's all these little hooks in the story. So what we do is the manor actually, the story is that the manor magically reappears every fall. And so what we do is we tackle that story from a different direction. So the original backstory we did in our year 3 show was the story of the bride, right? And that's seen in some of the, no, I don't think that's actually the year. There was the year 2 story was the bride. And then the year 3 story was witch hunters. So witches and witch hunters. So we kind of take, that story and come at it from different directions. And then this year we did a time travel story. And what we did is last year, during last year's show, which was a paranormal investigation show set in modern times, so we went through the manor in today's time with a ghost detector kind of a thing. But in the opening story when we gave people their ghost detectors to walk through the haunt, we told them that the manor had been many things in its life. And it had been an orphanage. It had been a hotel. It, of course, had been a house, but it also had been a hospital, and that there had been a kind of crazy surgeon that lived here and did a lot of, funny surgeries and things. So this year's show, for instance, then was that story of the surgeon and the surgical hospital, and it was kind of a mashup of the books The Time Machine and The Island of Dr. Moreau. So all these funny surgeries were animal-human hybrid things. So we kind of get inspiration from a lot of places, but what we try to do is take that central backstory of the haunt and find an angle to it to create the show from. So this year, for instance, we'd mentioned that at some time the Manor had been a hotel. Well, this year our goal is to put on a show that it's the hotel.
Right on. Rotten Apples team, same question then. How do you get your inspiration? You mentioned that you change it every year, but do you have an underarching theme that maybe ties yours together?
Not really. Every year is completely different.
We have an ongoing list that my daughter has made of ideas that we've come up with. And so we just start going down the list. And, so a lot of the times during the haunt, we figure out, okay, this would be a really cool idea. We'll do that next year. And then we start out in January. Okay, this is what the theme's going to be. And then come June, maybe not so much. And so we've changed it the last couple of years at the last minute. But we just have an ongoing list of ideas that we've come up throughout the years. And sometimes they don't work out. Like the toy shop was an idea that we had, was it 3 or 4 years ago? And we went to do it, and I realized it was going to be a whole lot of work. And Melissa was pregnant, so she was going to be no help at all. And so we changed the theme because I needed her help and stuff. So,
and sometimes it's based on what kind of stuff we happen to get that year. Like one year we got from studios 8 or 10 lath walls, interior walls. They're like lath and plaster walls with real rough cut 2x4s, and they're beautiful walls. They were heavy as sin. But we've got an inside secret passage. What do we build a haunt around the inside secret passage? Because you got to use it. It's so cool. You got to use it someplace. So that's where it came up with Wellesley Manor, where it was secret passage inside the old manor, where you could go from room to room on the inside of the walls. It was kind of cool.
And then, of course, there's always whatever that year brings. Like the Portal to Hell was not what we intended on doing, but it was very appropriate for the year.
Well, yeah, that is caused by a situation that you have, you rolled with it. At least you didn't say, okay, roll over and die. We're not doing anything this year. We'll make the most of what we got, even if we don't get the land all leveled out and the insurance claim has to wait for a little while longer. But hey, we're doing Halloween, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, and even though, like, this is the thing I think that we tried to put this in the film, hopefully it comes across. We tried to, really kind of show, like, all these people that do this are so crazily dedicated that they went through all this stuff like 4 weeks before they're supposed to start building and went, we'll build it anyway. And if you saw what they built, the quality was just as good as every other year. The opening, like, witch's cottage was insane. Like, just the detail and stuff that's in that cottage was incredible. But it was just like you would never have thought that they'd lost a third of their stuff in a flood, a month prior. It's nutty. The dedication that haunters have for the art is mind-blowing to me.
Well, this is a question for you, Josh, regarding inspiration. You filmed 4 haunts, and you've seen what they can do, whether it's building the same thing year after year, or and just modifying it, to going through a flood, to being in a smaller area that's a ways away. How has this inspired you to be a filmmaker, and what has it done to you? How's it changed you?
What has it done to me? How long do we have? No, it's so. I mean, from an inspiration point of view, right? Like, my wife and I were already. I think we found like a kindred spirit with everybody, because we were already kind of that, like, we don't just do something. We go to another level. You know, like when we were like, oh yeah, we'll help Chris and Gina, Hollywood Haunter. We'll come out and help film your haunt. It's my wife and I. That's it. We're running a 9x9 room. We had, gotten married a few years prior. We didn't have a house or anything. We brought, an entire studio's worth of light kits and cranes and cameras and all kinds of stuff, and just drove it to Burbank, or Glendale, wherever they were living at the time. So we were kind of already, we kind of had that mindset of like, you don't just do it. You have to like go big or go home. But after seeing what everybody does and seeing, this is kind of sad to say, I've gotten a few emails from people, like annoyed or upset at the film because they weren't in it or that kind of thing. And, a few of them were like, oh, you're only filming these people who have these giant crews and all these volunteers. And I'm like, no, they don't.
No.
It's, you know what I mean? It's a few family members and maybe a couple of friends, and that's it. That are doing these massive, insane projects. And it's not like everyone has thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. It's maybe a couple $100, if that. And a bunch of donated time, and they're able to put on these shows that are beyond what most theme parks are not doing what these guys are doing. Christian mentioned Not Scary Farm, and it's funny because almost everybody had mentioned Not Scary Farm at some point. And if you go into the history of Southern California and haunting and stuff, there's a lot of Not Scary Farm is a catalyst for a lot of people. Knott's has actually gone to some of the home haunts and ripped off their stuff and put it at Not Scary Farm. So it's come full circle. It's the theme park. These guys are inspired by the theme parks. The theme parks then go and see what they're doing and go, oh crap, we can do that. And then they do it. Because that's how good their quality is. And so for my wife and I, we're already talking about doing something sequel-ish to this. I can't really talk about it, but we're already also in the process of going, okay, well, we did one film last year. I guess this year we need to do two, even though we just had a baby. So we're already figuring something out. We're in the process of like, okay, how do we do a full scripted film? Now we're looking into a full scripted feature film. As well as working on some form of sequel type thing. I can't really talk about to Epic Home Haunts. But yeah, it's very inspiring to kind of go, okay, I already work, 18 hours a day. Can I work 19? Can I work 20? How far can I push this before I die? Like, you know what I mean? Whiskey helps. Whiskey and coffee helps, but
Now back to the other haunts. Do you guys get inspiration from each other, and do you talk about what you're doing and bounce ideas off of each other?
To some extent, yeah. We're usually so busy with our own haunt that we really don't get to talk to the other people with the haunt so much.
We talk to Greg Packard because we're friends, and he helps. We belong to Cal Haunts, and Greg is here with Cal Haunts, so we see Greg all the time. And the rest of them we don't really see. In fact, I haven't even been to the other two. And yeah, we tried. We almost made it to Wear the Realm, but it was 10 o'clock and we were in Palmdale. Figured, okay, we're not going to make it. And the first time we got out to Palmdale was this year, because we're always open the same time as everybody else. So we never get to go see anybody else. And but Greg and us, we talk a lot and bounce ideas. We're fortunate to belong to Cal Haunts, which is a Halloween group here in Southern California. There's a lot of people, and we all bounce ideas off of each other, or we'll come up, oh, that would be a really cool idea, and stuff. So we do talk to other people.
Now, do you ever compete with them too? And it's like, one person wants to build Frankenstein's monster on a slab. Do a couple of you guys, well, I can do it better than them, or I can do it different than them. Here's my take on it, and somebody else does it too for the Cal Haunts group?
For us, if somebody else is doing it, we won't do it. It's, and we have this thing that if pirates is, everybody does pirates, we will not do pirates. And so we try to do not the same as everybody else, but.
Good.
Although if you do want to see their Frankenstein stuff, look at footage of Midsummer Scream last year. Because a lot of these guys got together and made the most insane entrance to the haunted attraction area at Midsummer Scream this past year, and it was all Frankenstein. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was cow haunts. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Cal Haunts project, which was pretty much like doing 2 haunts last year.
Really?
That happens.
How about a piece of advice for somebody that wants to get started doing a home haunt? What kind of advice would you give them on starting one?
Well, since I'm pretty new, let me say this. I think the thing to remember is that nobody knows what it's supposed to look like except you. So don't be afraid to try and start something, because, you know, you have your own vision of what you want it to be. And, you know, just by virtue of, you know, time, money, skill, all those other things, it's probably not going to turn out to what you have in your head. And that's okay, because most people are doing good to get a jack-o'-lantern on the front porch and hand out some candy. So anything you do past that is a huge thing. So, you know, just jump in. That's all I can say.
Yeah, start with what you can handle. Start with just a yard haunt. And if your goal is to have a whole walkthrough, don't try to do a 1,400 square foot, fully decorated haunt through the first year. You'll get buried. But yeah, do what you know you can do, and leave it at that. And the people will love it. No matter what you put out there, chances are that everybody will love it. You'll get enthused, and next year you can do things a little bit better, a little more detailed, and a little more. But just keep at it.
Yeah, I was going to say something super similar to both of you guys as well, of just kind of obviously don't try and do too much, because half the stuff you're going to want to do isn't going to be even close to happening because of time, budget, life going on outside of it. But then to also, I think, not be so critical of yourself too, of not getting something done or thinking, oh, this didn't turn out the way I wanted it to be, I envisioned it to be. Because everybody that comes through the haunt is going to end up more than likely absolutely loving it and not having a clue that this is half of what you wanted to get done or doesn't look the way, because most people coming through it are going to be blown away by even the simplest things.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to have anybody going through a haunt and going, oh, it was great, but, you know, the light on that one corner should have been 20% brighter or 30% darker. I'm disgusted by.
Wait a minute, you do get those critics, trust me.
No way, really? Oh, well, yeah, from the haunt community, sure.
Sure, yeah, those of us on the inside, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean, I just look back at kind of the first year that we lived here in this house, and I said, okay, I'm going to do something. And just kind of coincidentally, I'd had to do some fence repair, for instance, like a week or two before Halloween. And it was like the day before Halloween, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I want to do something. And I look over and there's this pile of dog-ear fence boards that, you know, were like 15 years old and looked like they were, you know, 100 years old, because sitting out in the desert weather. And I'm like, I think I could make a toe pincher coffin out of those. And I made a toe pincher coffin out of them. I found some stuff around the house, a skull and some bones and things, and I threw them in this toe pincher coffin. And literally, it's what we had. We had like a toe pincher coffin and a couple of, you know, spirit props, little things. I'm not even thinking big on year one. And people lost their mind because there was like a toe pincher coffin in my front yard. You know, so I say, you know, just do it. Just do something, and you know, like Preston said, just let it evolve over time. Don't try to put on a Disney quality show in year one. You're not going to be able to do it. Trust me. Try.
But it's so addictive when you do something like that. You know, when you build that coffin, and it changes your brain, because now you had a pile of fence boards and now you see a pile of boards or pallets, and it's like, oh, I can build this out of that.
We all
Absolutely.
fight here on Craigslist for the fencing. We have this ongoing thing. It's everybody sees a listing on Craigslist for free fencing, and it's which one of our Calhoun's friends have gotten to the fencing before. We have this battle going on over free fencing.
That and big blocks of foam.
And big blocks of foam, yeah.
Big blocks of foam. I think that hunters are really good, though, at seeing things for what they can be, not what they are.
Yep.
And so yeah, I think that becomes a gift once you start to make things. You kind of think, wait a minute, that thing over there looks like this or whatever. I mean, for the Frankenstein show at Midsummer, I had to build a prop in a hurry, and it needed to have something that looked like it had big ceramic insulators on it. Not that I had any big ceramic insulators, but I found these little plungers in the toilet section, in the plumbing section at Home Depot, that I thought, well, if I cut that little handle right there, that thing will look like, paint it white, that thing's going to look like a big ceramic insulator. And you know what? It's what I did. And you know what? They look like big ceramic insulators, but they're like $2 toilet plungers.
Yeah, a whole different perspective on things. It's funny when you're, a haunter and you go into a hardware store and it's like, can I help you find anything? It's like, yeah, well, I'm working on some Halloween stuff. And it's like, well, our Halloween section is over here. It's like, no. That's not what I want. I need 18 feet of PVC, and I need a bunch of this and a bunch of that, and that toilet plunger so I can use as an insulator. And people look at you like, okay, this is not what this stuff is used for, but it's what we do.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
funny. I've forgotten that.
Yeah. We also have a great community that we can borrow stuff. Is we have friends that okay, well, we have this item or something, and someone's doing a theme, or I could really like our friend Tim. He was doing his farm, and we have the horse that we of course can't use for anything, and he says, can I borrow the horse? So we sent the horse off to him, and we borrowed. We don't do a lot of gore stuff, and so we didn't have enough body parts. And so Tim is all about gore and body parts. And so we said, hey, Tim, can we borrow some body parts? And we borrowed stuff from Greg. We borrowed, and we loan. And so that's a good thing about the haunt community is a lot of times you talk and we all share. And, if someone's doing something, we can, I have this, we can help, will this help you out?
I was going to say,
that's very, very true.
The haunt community too, of, if you're thinking about like starting a haunt or doing a haunt and you're kind of on the fence about it, to just go for it and do it. Because it's a crazy ton of fun. But then you also get to meet a ton of awesome people. And there's some people that from the first year we've started to whatever year it is that we've met through the haunt, that help out at the haunt, or other people from other haunts, that have become so close to our family and their friends. And every time we see them, it's always great. So there's a lot of great stuff that doing the haunt brings as well.
Yeah.
If anybody's interested, the biggest thing, you come to one of the haunt shows, and you'll come away amazed at all the different things that people do and what's available and the information that's there.
Absolutely. Well, it's like my wife and I still do short films all the time, and for a while we were doing a horror short film every like 3 months or so. And like, there's one of our props that's sitting over here. I mean, no one can see it, and this is audio, but we took a foam head and molded a thing on it, but I wanted it to look like dead skin. And Scott, Christian's dad, had corpsed a couple of skeletons, but the white trash bag, and you use the heat gun on it, and it sucks it shut, and it kind of looks like a corpse. And I was like, oh, I know what I can do. So, this little stuff that you can pick up just from going to the shows and just talking to people and like, hey, that thing, how did you make that? Or, hey, how does that little thing work? Or even just YouTube, like, Kristen Gina's Hollywood Haunter, stuff like that. And, maybe it's not like you don't want to build a giant pumpkin, but maybe that one little thing that they do at, minute marker 8, you go, oh, wait a minute. Okay, I can take that and do this other thing,
And the other thing is, if you're interested in getting started, if you've got a local group that meets, definitely go connect. Definitely go connect with other haunters in a make and take kind of group, because there's just no underestimating the amount of information that's out there. For every bit that you can find on the web, there's probably 100 times more floating around in people's heads because we don't have time to put it on the web.
Yeah, so true. So true.
Well, I'll give you all, so we've been here a little over an hour. Give you guys a chance to plug your haunts, whether they want to, you want them to find you on Facebook or YouTube or website or wherever. We'll start with Josh. Where can we find the video again? And we'll go from there. We'll go to Diane, and we'll go to Christian, then we'll go to Greg.
Oh, okay, cool. So the film currently, if you want to actually watch the film Epic Home Month in its entirety, it's on Amazon Prime Video. As I said previously, you don't need to have Amazon Prime account. As long as you have an Amazon account, you can get on there and rent it or purchase it. We're actively getting it into iTunes. Hopefully in the next 4 to 6 weeks it'll be in iTunes, and then it's on the streaming platforms, specifically Hulu and Netflix. Those are the two that our distributor are attacking. So we'll see what happens. They're the big boys, so I kind of can't. I have to do what they say and can't really. I don't have a timeline for any of that. We also have a YouTube channel. It's Epic Home Month on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all the social medias. We're not posting as much as we were because it's December and the film has been edited, but we're still posting every once in a while. So that's where you can go to check out the film.
Awesome.
You didn't bring the baby out. No, we want to see Daisy.
Oh, here we go. You want to see the baby? I got. Here you go. Here's the baby.
So cute.
Pretty big for how old?
Yeah, 6 weeks. They grow up so fast. No, she's in the other room.
We're on rottenapple907.com, and we've got a little bit of stuff here and there. We ourselves don't post much, but other people have posted things for us. Yeah. But yeah, all the information is on there and how to get us. So 907, rottenapple907.com.
Cool. For me, Beware the Dark Realm, bewarethedarkrealm.com, Facebook and Instagram. We post a lot on there as much as we can. Finally this year, I've always said it every year, going to start getting more and more going on the Instagram or on YouTube. But time obviously doesn't ever allow that for me. So I finally graduated college just this last week. So I've got a lot more free time now. So YouTube channel as well, Beware the Dark Realm. Yeah.
All right. And Restless Souls Manor, you can find us on Facebook, Restless Souls Manor, as well as on the web at restlesssoulsmanor.com. Probably Facebook is probably the best place if you want to follow us at the current. We're not hip enough yet to have an Instagram account for the haunt. So that'll probably roll up this year, though, when we get into our marketing cycle, I think. So, but yeah, the Facebook's the best place to find us, Restless Souls Manor.
All right, Daryl, you have any finisher questions you want to ask these fine folks before we let them go?
No, I think I kind of monopolized some of your questions, I'm sure, Brian, but hopefully we got an entertaining show from all of you guys. Anything else that any of you wanted to add that maybe we missed?
Go look at Epic Home.
Yeah. Go watch the movie. Please go watch the movie.
Buy it.
Buy it and rent it.
There you go. I like Greg's thinking.
Well, I appreciate all you guys do. I was home haunter for many years, and decided to go crazy pro for the last 4 years. So I know we're all creatives and we all do the same thing. I know prices in California are crazy, but have you all, and Christian, you said you had done a pro haunt nonprofit for a while. Any of you guys ever thought about going pro or had the opportunity, or anybody ask you about joining forces or anything like that?
Over the years, we've had people talk to us about it. You should go pro and you should do this, or, we can get together and I've got a space where you can use, and we've always kind of, part of it is we do it for the community. We do our hunt for the community. And if we went pro, then we're going to have to charge, and we're going to have to, and we wouldn't do it here. So some of that is our reluctance to move away from where we are. Because you do have a lot of people that come by and what's it going to be this year? And, I love what you're doing and all of that stuff. There are a couple of people that don't appreciate it quite so much, but yeah, that happens. But yeah, it feels good to have people come by and tell us how much they really like it. We've got people that are parents now that came to our haunt when they were kids and are now bringing their own kids to the haunt. So it feels good.
How about you, Christian?
I'd say the same thing too, pretty much. And there's something kind of special too about doing it at our house. From doing like the pro one, there's a lot of extra work on top of it besides the haunt stuff itself, which myself and my dad are glad we don't have to do that stuff anymore. But there's been people that have asked us if we'd want to do it somewhere else or something. And it always comes down to kind of like, we always love doing it at the house. We can kind of work on it on our own terms and time when we have for it. It'd be very, very nice to store everything someplace else. Storage is always the worst part. But even the years then when we did it somewhere else, it was always almost a little sad coming back home, and we'd have some decorations up still, but not nearly what it is now. So it's always special to see it being a home haunt and the community it kind of involves, and see all the people from not just our valley that come out to see it, but from all around that come to see it too. And
about Greg?
Well, let's put it this way. We do what we do for the community as well. I mean, when we started even just, putting up some things in the yard, we were in that group of people that had, like 25 trick-or-treaters, and so we've managed to kind of pull in a crowd into the neighborhood and get people engaged. I mean, we have neighbors that, participate now in Halloween that never participated before as a result. So it's really something that we do so that the kids in the neighborhood have something to look forward to. All that said, if for some reason I couldn't do it here anymore, something were to come up, that the city, for instance, would say, sorry, you can't do this anymore, I would probably try to find another haunt to work with. And if that were a pro haunt, maybe I would do some of that. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out, I guess is what I'm saying. But I don't see myself picking this up and moving it to the fairgrounds or something and start charging people $15 or $20 a head. Just because, man, it's a lot of work, and you really got to love it. You really got to love it to do it. And, as Christian said, being able to do it on your own terms as much as possible, that really, I think, helps make it that much more enjoyable. We do it because it's fun, and, if it stops being fun, well, we're going to stop doing it. But we want it to stay fun.
Yeah, there's definitely pros and cons of each. I definitely miss doing my home haunt, for those reasons as well. And that was my thing. The city wasn't on me, but I was outgrowing my garage and storing stuff under my deck and in my backyard and under tarps, and people kept giving me stuff and more wheelchairs and medical beds, and I'm like, okay. And then my friend was like, well, I have this 12,000 square foot warehouse that you can keep your haunt up all year long. I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's try that for a while. So, but I'm in Missouri too, so it's, this building, this property's already paid off, so it's kind of like I'm just keeping it there, and we split profits at the end of the year and kind of make everything work together. But, going from a 500 square foot garage to a 12,000 square foot warehouse was a big change, So, but there's a lot involved in it, like all of you all know. It's, once you do the commercial haunt, you got to have your insurances and your permits and your actors and your pay and your forms and your insurances and fire code inspectors and fire marshals.
Sounds a bit like making a movie.
City inspector right there, yeah. But yeah, but I'm glad I have not yet seen the movie. I'll be honest, but I'm going to watch it.
I'm out of here.
So I wanted to be an element of surprise. I wanted to see you guys first and get kind of the story of it. And then
hey, I've talked to them. Yeah,
a little more. But I know how it is being a homeowner, so I appreciate everything you guys do for your community in California, right? So, because I hear a lot of talk about, I haven't yet been out to California, but I hear a lot of talk about the home haunts in California. So that's, apparently you guys are top notch. So it'd be nice to go out there one year and check everything out, and Midsummer Scream, and Scare LA, and all the other stuff. So thanks for coming on. Yeah. But
thanks for having us.
Of course.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Glad we got this all organized and worked around the baby. So good.
So sweet.
So cute.
I tried. She lasted for 3 seconds. It's just like, nope.
But hey, you tried.
I tried.
3 or 4 more years, be ready to start scaring people.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Well, she's coming to Midsummer Scream, so we gotta get her used to jump scares.
Definitely.
So she'll be there. We'll have to do a little photo shoot with Melissa.
Yay! Definitely.
Some of the dresses.